Welcome to Penny for Your Shots, conversations and cocktails with brilliant women. I'm your host, Penny Fitzgerald, and I believe the best stories are the ones shared over a glass of wine or a cocktail. Each week, I sit down with women who've said yes to building something meaningful, often after years of putting everyone else first. We talk business, big dreams, and the mess in between. And of course, a few favorite drinks. So grab a glass, get comfy, and let's pour ourselves into Penny for Your Shots. There's something really special about sitting down with a woman who has lived a full life and is still evolving. My guest today, Diane Farber, has done and is doing just that. From social work to building a career in finance to starting over in a brand new place in her 80s, she shares the kind of wisdom that only comes from doing the thing, even when it's hard. And here's what I love most. This conversation doesn't introduce anything brand new. It confirms something I talk about all the time. You are not stuck, you are not too late, and you're far more capable than you think. So grab your favorite drink and let's go. Here is my neighbor and friend, Diane Farber. I'm so excited to talk to you.
Well, I'm excited to talk to you too. Only I just reread everything and you
Yeah.
said you have to pick your best drink. So when we get to that,
Oh, that's okay.
I'm not good at picking something mule. There was a mule that comes in the very pretty container. It
The
comes in a
copper
copper,
cup.
yeah,
Uh-huh.
copper cup, but I've never had it.
Oh, well, I know someone in your neighborhood that has those.
Oh, really? I wonder who.
I wonder who. We can figure that out.
Okay, good, good.
Yes. Okay, so for my listeners that don't know, Diane and I are neighbors in Florida. We live just around the corner from each other in the same neighborhood. But Diane, tell my listeners, my friends, a little about you.
Okay. I have moved here from Michigan, where I lived for over 50 years. And the result of living in Michigan with all that cold weather, when I was originally from Miami Beach, Florida, was not one that once I retired, I wanted to stay in. I didn't want, I don't like the cold weather. I love Midwesterners, so I had to find a place to come to that was warm and at the same time where there was a preponderance of Midwestern kind people. And that's part of how I found Sarasota. And so I've been here in Sarasota now for 2.5 years. I moved here without knowing any, well, that's not true. I knew two people, and I've become very involved in the last 2.5 years to the extent that it's too much involvement now, and now I'm beginning to pull back. So from all of the things I'm involved in, so I can read a book.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, and
I don't have time to read a
relax.
book right now.
Oh gosh. Well, tell us a little bit about some of those things that you're doing.
One of the things that I became involved with early on through I was introduced to a woman who was interested in contemporary art glass. And I have a contemporary art glass collection that I started in the early 2000s. And it's about 2 dozen pieces or so, but I fell in love with the medium. And I really wasn't a big collector of anything before I met contemporary art class. And when I say I fell in love, I mean I fell in love. And I learned everything I could. And I became part of a core group that manages a national organization that is the Art Alliance for Contemporary Glass. And I became not only a member, but a board member and a secretary and a financial person on their board and a vice president. And then I
All the
decided,
things.
yes, yeah, 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 a lot of work, right? Too much work.
Mm-hmm.
And so then about a year and a half ago, I stepped down from being in that position. And now I'm just I would say that my advocation is loving glass, meeting new glass artists, finding
Mm.
new methods that artists are using, and trying to keep contemporary art glass in the center of, or more focus for people who don't know about it, because not very
Hmm.
many people do.
Yeah.
It's not like one of the, it's not like oils, and it's not even like ceramics. And it's part of a group that they call decorative arts sometimes. It's a very interesting conversation about
Hmm.
contemporary art class. So anyway, through that, I came down here. I met a woman who was interested in that arena, and I invited her to my house, and she said, "You should be a docent at the Sarasota Art Museum. It's a contemporary art museum." And I said, "Well, I certainly can't do that. I don't have that background. I don't know how to be a docent." And she said, "Well, you just told me all about your contemporary glass and who the makers are and so on. Why don't you come to our meeting and let's see what you think about that?" So I went to the meeting, which was a meeting of docents. And, there are no coincidences in life. There are only
No.
things that are supposed to happen. And one of the exhibits was a contemporary art glass exhibit
Mm.
by a woman by the name of Barbara Bass. She and her husband have one of the best contemporary art glass collections in the country, possibly in the world.
Wow.
And she is right here in Sarasota, and she lent 30 pieces to the Sarasota Art Museum. The docents had to learn about them. They knew nothing about art glass. I came in and I sat down as a guest, and as they're talking, I am finding out that they're asking all these questions, and nobody in the group can answer questions. I'm a little bit shy, and finally I say, "That's what I know. I know contemporary art glass. I don't know the rest of the stuff that you guys know."
Wow.
So it was at that point that I became very involved with the Sarasota Art Museum docents. And I was a go-to person for that. And they've been go-to people for the rest of the exhibits. And I really have fallen in very deep love, deep love with contemporary artwork and some modern artwork as well.
Uh-huh.
And
How
so
did you, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
that's okay.
How did you discover contemporary art glass in the first place? I mean, what drew you to it in the beginning?
Well, I was living in Michigan. I was still working,
Hmm.
and I was at that point a financial advisor. I had changed careers from a social worker, and I changed careers at age 41, so it was late to change careers, and I needed to do a lot of makeup in building a business and building a some kind of foundation of wealth so that one day I would be able to retire. Social workers, unless they have they're individually wealthy, independently wealthy, they can't retire. Not the way I have anyway here. And so I'm there working, 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 working. And finally, I mean, somehow I started in 1984 and I woke up one day in 2003 and said, "That's all I'm doing is working. I'm having no fun."
Mm-hmm.
So I then ended up joining art boards, which I thought I like art, so I ended up then I was working on the art boards, and I thought, well, that isn't doing it. So I said to one of the women there, "You know what? I'm resigning from all my art boards, and I'm just going to see what the art is here in the greater Birmingham, Bloomfield, Ann Arbor area." And she said, "Well, you're lucky you're sitting next to me. My husband and I have been collecting art since 1972. I spend 2 hours every morning reading about the art scene in the
Oh my
country,
gosh.
and let us mentor you." So
Oh,
she then took me to different studios. And we went to a studio of an iron metal maker, and then we ended up at a studio where they had a hot shop and somebody was blowing glass. And I
oh.
said to her, "This is it. This is it. I feel it. I feel it. This is where I belong." And that's how it started.
Wow. Okay, and so backing up a second, you were a social worker for many years
Yes,
and then shifted to be a financial planner in your
right,
40s.
right.
And are you okay talking about why you
Oh, sure, sure.
shifted?
I'm very, very comfortable. Yeah,
Okay.
thank you for asking. I appreciate it. Actually, um, when I left Miami Beach, Florida, I thought I would never come back to Florida. I didn't like the vibe in Miami Beach, or
Oh.
Miami. It was
Mm-hmm.
back then, which is not too much different from now. It was very fast. I mean, driving was fast.
Mm.
I mean, during the season, it was inundated with visitors, just like Sarasota is now. But that's different because people are Midwesterners here. Anyway, um, so there we go. So I leave, and at that point, I'm in high school, and I'm dating my high school sweetheart, who 4 years later I married. And our whole vision was we would leave the Florida area. We went to Boston to school, and then we ended up having two children while he was doing his medical training. And then I started school as a social worker. And someplace in that period of time, he realized that the thing he agreed to very strongly about me working was something that he did not want to entertain.
Mm,
And it eventually, that difference led to our divorce because I wanted to work. I did not want to be a full-time mom. I wanted to
mm-hmm,
be a mom that had flexibility. And as a clinical social worker, which is what my training was, I
mm-hmm,
could make my hours as need be. And if I worked in a clinic, I would have backup. So I had it all worked out, only
mm-hmm,
it wasn't something that he was really positive about. And I said, it's a deal breaker. And it was.
uh-huh,
And so we have parted many, many years ago when my children were young, and I was in social work school at the time. And I became a social worker for about 8 years, became a specialist in the area of alcohol counseling and family systems. Traveled some, doing some private consultation that way. And then I ended up going to a small satellite office where I was the supervisor of 7 people in that office and a budget and
mm,
so on. And I realized that I really liked doing some of that business stuff. I didn't ever think I did because I liked the clinical work.
uh-huh.
And then a friend of mine who has very sadly passed away said to me
Mhm.
one day, "You're going to be a bag lady."
Oh,
And I said, well, that's a really nasty thing to say. And she said, "Well, I finally got your attention.
oh,
I have been talking to you now for 2 years about the fact that you need to do something about your finances because you are not paid well. I was not compensated. The divorce did not go well. My former spouse did not have to give me any money at all.
oh
So
my.
that being what it was, I was living very, very poorly. And she said, either you have to change careers or you have to find a rich man. And I said, well, I
Mm.
guess I'm going to change careers. And which is what I then proceeded to look for. I looked at what could I do where I couldn't go back. I didn't have money to go back to school, so I
Mm-hmm.
had to be trained on the job. And at that time, the stock markets, which had bottomed out starting in 1968, were just kind of coming back up in the early 80s. And
Mm-hmm.
they really did need people desperately. And I could walk, I could chew gum, I was smart. Even though I didn't know the difference from a stock and a bond, I kind of faked it initially, and they weren't sure they wanted me. And they said, well, if you pass the Series 7, which is this very difficult test, we will
Mm-hmm.
keep it. If not, we're going to fire you. So
Mm.
in 1984, I then passed the test, got trained, and started very meekly, because I was still a social worker, very meekly
Yeah.
trying to build a business, which took me 3.5 years to do.
Yeah. That's a totally different skill set.
Yeah, totally different, but one that once I got the knack of was attainable
Mm-hmm.
and is attainable for anybody who wants to do it, who feels that. And people who are, see, I was all right-brained. I mean, I could not
Mm.
do anything in my left brain at all back then. So you're talking about remembering stock symbols and what stocks were costing and what a bond fund was and how it's, I'm thinking, what is all this stuff? And can I do it? Okay, fortunately, I learned it, and it now, I've been retired since 2016, January 2016.
Mm.
And I still turn on CNBC every morning. It's kind of like my wake up music.
Well,
And yeah, I know that sounds strange, but I need to find out what's going on and listen to some of the talking heads. And then I turn it off at about an hour later, and then I go on my day.
yeah. Well, it kind of makes sense though that, it's a comfort level, first of all, for starting your day with something that you know and can contribute to. But then thinking back to your social worker days and then shifting into this new career that's very different, but part of it's very similar, right? Because you're helping a lot of people
Yeah.
in different ways now, but
Right.
in
Yeah.
creating wealth and
Right. And creating, not only creating wealth, but protecting wealth, which
mm,
was my goal. My goal was the people that I worked with were people who made their own money. And
hmm
my job was to grow it and protect it because I was never going to make them enough money so that they could live only off my money and not off their working. Now, of course,
mm,
unless they had tens of millions of dollars, and those were not my clients. My clients were, I made a decision early on,
hmm
again, about my criteria for my clients were a certain way, and I was going to work a certain way. And we were going to work with a financial plan. And I went and I got a degree as a certified financial planner. And then I got a degree from Wharton as a certified investment management analyst.
mm.
And so my job was really to take people's assets, and I had a minimum back then of $1 million portfolio. I worked primarily with couples who were very serious about making sure that they were very well grounded for their retirement.
Well, what a great goal.
Absolutely. It turned out to be the people with whom I worked were wonderful. It was the market became so intense, and I feel like the market is made up of bulls, bears, and pigs. And and so what happens is that the pendulum, when the stock market goes up, people get greedier and greedier and greedier, and they continue to buy. And all the discussion is about, is this gonna break? Is this gonna break? Is this gonna fall? Is this gonna? Well, eventually it always does. I mean,
hmm
eventually it doesn't work positively. The average return for stocks going back to 1926 is a little bit more than 10% a year, but you don't make 10% a year. You make some negative years, you make some positive years. And by the way, there is a phrase that called regression to the mean, which is a statistical phrase, which means that eventually the market will go back to that 10.2%. And if it
mm.
means that we're just too high over too many years, that means it will go very low for those people who are, remember 2008. I mean, we didn't have little sell-offs. We had, I call them ginormous sell-offs. The
hmm
markets were down over 2 or 3 years, 48, 42%. That's a lot to make up because if
Yeah.
it's down 42%, it has to go up 84% for you to just be level.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
so asset allocation, putting
hmm
certain amount that you can tolerate in that kind of position is fine, but you have to put things in different buckets in order to protect. Again, protect.
hmm
That was a
Yeah,
big
because
thing.
if your timing is off, if you're retiring in 2008 and you're all in that the risky category, then it's a problem.
That's right. That's absolutely true. It is the problem.
hmm
Yeah.
Wow.
And I could tell you stories about people who listened and didn't listen and all that stuff,
hmm
but it would be boring. The only because um, they people have in their mind what they want the market to do. And it is not at all um, really with any kind of background. It's just kind of like a fantasy. I want an
hmm
aggressive portfolio because I think I can handle if the market sells off. Well, my question was just to a friend of mine the other day who said, well, I really need to talk to you about this because she's my age, because I have 67% in the stock market.
Oh,
And she was retired and she was living off that portfolio. Yeah.
uh-huh.
Oh, and
Seems like a lot.
I said that's a high percentage. Well, she said, I really want to be aggressive. And I said, well, fine. What happens if?
Yeah.
So I gave her all these examples of things that had, she's very smart. I mean, she's very smart. She knew about the sell-offs, but she just
Uh-huh.
didn't, she liked the idea of it going up, 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 and up, and never thought about the downside protection.
Yeah. Yeah. The risk of it.
Right.
Okay, Diane, you mentioned she's your age. Can you tell
Right.
us what that is? Do you mind? You're beautiful and so, so smart. I admire you for so many reasons.
I'm
Okay.
83 and I'm very proud of all that I can do at this age.
You are amazing.
Yeah.
And all you've done, you have
Yeah.
shifted and you have not let fear hold you back. You
No, I've
are,
been afraid.
yeah,
Yeah.
but you didn't stop.
Yeah,
You
yeah, I
didn't,
didn't stop. But here's the interesting thing. The women I know who are my friends,
uh-huh.
who are my peers, many of them have done the same thing, not exactly the same thing that I've done, but they've
Hmm.
done similar things, like this woman I
Yes.
talked about who was aggressive. You know, she was a dental hygienist. She became a dentist. That was a big
Oh,
risk to
nice.
go back to school and to
Hmm.
then have her own office space and hiring people and all of that. And again, she did it.
Yeah.
So there are many of us who have done it. And for those of us who haven't, who needed to, I'm sorry, but, and for those people who can now,
Uh-huh.
for example, there are many, many women who are trained as CPAs. We only have big five now. We used to have big eight of the CPA firms. And
Okay.
there's a big five. So now what happens in many of these, the women are really kind of beginning to rise to partners. But more than 50% of the women doing the work behind the partners are women.
Hmm.
Not all people can become partners at one of those, big firms. And to
Hmm.
start a small firm, it's difficult. You're competing and it's a whole thing. So for many people who have that background, I wanted to do presentations about looking at financial management as a potential for another career, for career change. Back in when I was growing up, you stayed in the same career forever. Now
Yeah.
people change careers, they say on the average of 7 times during their
Hmm.
work life. So, but I can't get to these women to talk to them. I tried through a women's economics group. I tried through the firm I work with. I
Uh-huh.
mean, nobody wanted to support this. They said, well, can you come up with the money to put the program together? I said, no, no, this is not going to benefit me. I'm doing this. I'll do the talk, but don't you want to help these people?
Yeah.
And then should I get on the thing that really is, I find very sad, is that we have not gone forward as women in our country and women in business.
Hmm.
We are now finding that it's very hard to move up. The glass ceiling is very much in place after so many years. I mean, we
Yeah.
are the biggest, most developed country that hasn't had a woman president. Shame on
Hmm.
us.
Hmm.
Shame on us. So I really feel that women really need to support women in looking at diversifying their lives and incorporating a way to move up.
Yes, absolutely. When women come together, collaborate, support each other, it creates magic.
Right. It is. It is
Hmm.
magic. I like
Yeah.
that.
There's nothing, well, I shouldn't say there's nothing because there are, but it's just very sad to me when I hear someone say, I wish I would have X, Y, or Z. I wish I would have done this or been that or tried this or moved there or whatever. Just, and still, and to the point where now you still could do those things or you still could do something that brings you joy or lights you up. And we put ourselves on the back burner so often
Yes. Yeah.
that we've forgotten what that thing was that we wanted to do or the thing that we wanted to try or the
Let's talk
impact we
about
wanted to have.
you.
Oh,
How you've just changed your career and you're doing what
yeah,
it is. I mean,
yeah.
I am just so impressed with the fact that you just took a good paying position and something you knew, and you're creating a whole nother world for yourself. I think
Oh,
it's so
thank
exciting.
you.
I
I
think
love
it's
it.
exciting.
Well, thank
Yeah.
you. It's in support of women, and I just really want to create that atmosphere, create
Mm.
that culture bring people up and support them in what they're trying to
Right.
do.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And
So,
it's taught me so much too, like talking to all you brilliant women.
oh, oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, I'm grateful we're neighbors too. It's so fun.
It is so fun. Only I need a handyman. Please find me a handyman,
Oh,
somebody.
well, when Jeff comes down, he'll help you with some stuff.
Yeah, no, I can't do that. I need somebody that I can
You
give a
need
list
a,
to. Yeah, somebody
okay.
that's a
You need
hired
an
hand.
actual,
Hand,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So, okay. Back to Florida. So
Yeah.
one of the things I'm doing is working
Yes.
with the Sarasota Art Museum, and that's very
Yeah.
fulfilling. The
Uh-huh.
other thing that happened down here, which was really surprising to me,
Uh-huh.
was that I have now become part of a temple. I am Jewish by
Mm.
birth. I was never a follower. I grew up with in a family where we considered being Jewish bagels, lox, and cream cheese. We never had celebrations of Jewish holidays. We never belonged to a
Oh,
temple. My former husband is an atheist, and he'll tell you right up front, he's really not. He was born and he was in a family that was much more observant, and I thought I would learn that. Now, surprise, no, I'm an atheist and we're not doing that thing. And I go, okay,
uh-huh.
fine. So
Wow.
as the years went by, I never kind of connected with any kind of Jewish organization that made me feel spiritually fulfilled. They
Mm.
were,
Mm-hmm.
I tried going, I joined. The rabbis were nice, but they were not what I would consider spiritually elevated and driven. And so then I come
Mm-hmm.
here, and one of my two friends here says to me one night, we should go to temple on a Friday night. I go, I don't go to temple on Friday night. I don't go to temple. And she said, oh, well, come with me then. She doesn't want to go to temple alone. And I'm not doing anything on a Friday night. And so I say, okay, I'll go. So we go, and I'm sitting there and I'm saying to her, this is pretty cool.
Oh.
Yeah, really feels good in here. These rabbis are exceptional. That was a great sermon. Hmm.
Oh.
So she said, I'm going to join. I'm going to get my kids to join, and I'm going to join. I said, well, I'm probably not going to because I don't join temples. Well, yeah, not only did I join the temple, I'm part of their art touring committee, which is just a small group, and I am the chair of the endowment board. And so I am working hard for the temple,
Uh-huh.
and it's a little bit too hard. That's one of the things I'm pulling back on.
Mm-hmm.
Because I haven't had time to read a book. And
Oh.
yeah. So, but I still go occasionally on Friday nights, and
Uh-huh.
I'm just building the endowment board. It needs to be built. It needs to be secured. It's really a full-time job, and I have to figure out how to make it a part-time job.
Mm. So you're fundraising for them? Is that what your endowment
I am
committee is?
okay. Part of it is fundraising through Legacy. Part of it is just getting everything organized so that we can fundraise.
Mm.
Getting the endowment board visible. People don't know that the temple has the membership committee did not know that there was an endowment board. And
Oh,
then when I
wow.
told them, they did not know how it was different from another program that they had heard about, Life and Legacy. So we changed the membership information. So there are all of these little pieces that
Mm-hmm.
I will do between now and the end of my term, which is the end of 26,
Mm-hmm.
to get it in place so that they can do more fundraising and have, because you can't do fundraising unless you're visible.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And have a plan. I mean, where's the money
Right.
going? What
Yeah,
do you
right,
need?
right, right, right. Yeah. And the plan was just to put it up on the web and just let it be on the
Uh-huh.
website. So my plan is a little bit different. I am hoping to work with the Temple Sisterhood to put together a plan to just have, if I can't believe I'm the only one there that's a financial advisor, that's a female, but I could be, because it's 870 units of people. So you think there
Wow.
would be other people with that background.
Yep.
But I would like to kind of give a a little course on what is a stock, what is a bond. So women who very often are left when they're widowed,
Mm-hmm.
they don't have any background at all, and and they all say to me, "But he's so nice. My financial advisor's so nice."
Oh,
And
okay.
I said, "Good. How did he do this?" "Oh, he did really well." "How do you know?" "Well, he told me. Told me." Okay. So I would like to
Trust
change
and
that.
verify.
Yeah, I would like to change those responses from some women who say, well, I looked and the S&P did this and he only did this, or he wants to put me in high yield bonds. My former mother-in-law, after my former father-in-law died, I was very close with them still. So she came to me and she said, please manage my account. And
Mm.
I said, I don't think that's a good thing for me to do. I said, I think that, you need to find a person that hasn't divorced your son. And she said, are you sure? And I said, oh, yeah, I'm sure. However, I'm happy to look and see how your person is doing. Well,
Mm-hmm.
as soon as Sam died, this guy put her all in high yield bonds because she said, I want income. And so he said, oh, I'll get you income. And he put her in high yield bonds. There she
Uh-huh.
was, 92, and
Oh,
50% of her portfolio was in high yield bonds. It was terrible,
oh,
terrible. Anyway, so, and he was such a nice man. She told me,
oh,
such a
of
nice
course.
man. Yeah.
Yeah. We'll bake you some
So,
cookies. So,
yeah, yeah, yeah. So those are the kinds of things I hope to do. I hope to raise women's awareness of finance. I'm not quite sure
hmm.
if it's going to get done. I've mentioned it to one or two people who are in the art group that I'm in from the temple. And they say, oh, well, I don't, yeah, George, this person takes care of that. I don't want to do it. No, he takes care of that.
Oh,
I
wow.
said, so I once said to a client of mine, there was this couple and they came in to see me and she said, I really don't want to be here. I come here, I don't understand. I said, well, if you come enough, you'll understand because I explained
Uh-huh.
things. She said, but Dave just does the finances. Let him just do it and let me stay home. And I said to
Oh,
her, yeah, I said to her, well, what happens? I hate to say this, Dave, with you sitting here, but what happens if something happens to Dave?
yeah.
And she said,
Heaven
well,
forbid, but
heaven forbid, right? And she said, well, I would call my daughter. And I said, but your daughter doesn't know how to manage money either, you told me. Her husband does it all. Yes, that's true. She said, well, I'll call you. And you'll, I said, but I'm going to retire. She said, well, I'll talk to my next door neighbor. I like him.
oh,
And I said, your next door neighbor? Really? You would trust him?
mm,
And she said, well, if I had nobody else.
mm,
So she would not learn. She would not learn. So there are people like that who just won't learn and they will trust. And it's not that these people are not trustworthy.
uh-huh.
It's that they're not trained. They're not trained.
Well,
The next door neighbor, he runs his own portfolio. I don't know how old he is. I don't know his risk tolerance. I don't know how much
right.
money he has.
You
So
know,
it doesn't make sense.
no, it's okay to go to someone else for advice. It's okay to, trust someone else, but just have an understanding of what you're looking at, of what's
Right,
happening in your own portfolio or in your own
right.
life.
It's really in your own life because it does impact your future years of living. It
Yeah.
really does.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like
Gosh.
talking about this. I haven't talked about this in a long time, Penny.
Oh
Thank
my
you.
gosh. Yes. No, thank you. This is, yeah, really good stuff for women to think about. And
Right, right.
I should introduce you to one of my sassy sisters who is a financial planner, and she's brilliant as well. She's made it a mission too to educate people, and especially women. If you have an interest in sharing what you know and helping other get that education piece out there, I bet she'd
Yeah,
be all over it.
yeah. I don't want to work hard.
No,
I
no, but I
just
know you. You
decided
just
I
jump
don't.
right on in.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's what I decided. I just got my second cold, which is what you're
No.
hearing, in 2 months, and that's because
Oh, no.
Well, it's because one month I worked, 30 hours a week putting together an event.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I shouldn't be doing that. Not,
Yeah.
I have to tell you, as good as I look, my body is still in its 80s. My body doesn't do what it did in its 70s. It really doesn't.
Wow.
And I know this was the biggest surprise for me. This year has been the biggest surprise because since I've been here, because I've been here a short time, this
Mm-hmm.
is my most active year so far.
Uh-huh.
And so I hearken back to my client who she was 92.
Mm-hmm.
She had been a model, had married well, and wore what's those fancy clothes all the time anyway? Oh, knitwear.
Oh, St. John's?
St. John's. She wore St.
Yeah.
John's, and she never had to change her St. John's and she drove a Cadillac, whatever it was. And she's 92, and she comes to see me, and we review the portfolio. Now she knew her portfolio, and then one day she says to me, at 92, she says to me, "I'm going to visit my nephew in New York, and my nephew and his wife." And I said, "Oh, who are you going with?" And she said, "I'm going by myself."
Oh,
And I said, "Charlotte, you're 92 years old." And she said, "Well, Diane, I have learned what my body can tolerate. At
oh,
this age, I'm good for 6 hours a day. And then the rest of the time I have to rest."
wow.
And she said, "So I take a flight, I sit in first class, I get off the plane. They have a wheelchair for me." That was back when, this is like 20 years ago when people were
Uh-huh.
not traveling like they do today.
Uh-huh.
And she said, and then my nephew's at the gate. And we go and he takes me to my hotel. He checks me in. I rest. I get up. He picks me up. We go for dinner. It's perfect. I'm home by 8:30. I sleep until the next day. He picks me up for lunch and we go do one little thing. And then I come back and I take another nap and we go for dinner. And she said, and then the next day, what happens is that he picks me up kind of early and we go for brunch and he puts me on the plane. And then that's my 6 hours. And back then, planes were not canceled like they are today. There were not that many
Yeah.
people traveling. You could count on more things. So, but what I learned from Charlotte is that you have whatever hours of the day you have, as you get older, the good ones are less and less. So you
Oh,
have to make those quality hours.
yeah. That's so interesting. And just the thought of, okay, first of all, how self-aware she was and
Oh yeah,
how that's such a great lesson to learn.
right,
And then also how she was able to make the most of those 6 hours and do the things she had the means to be able to do the things she wanted to do in those six
right,
hours.
right, right.
That's big.
It was very big. It was very big. And I learned so much from so many of the people with whom I worked about life
Yeah.
experiences because
Yep.
I was younger at the time. I was in my 50s and they were in their 70s and their 80s.
Hmm. So much wisdom from older women.
Yes, we do. When we get there,
Yes.
we can pass it on.
Yes. Exactly. I love it. Oh my gosh. What do you love to do most?
Um, so that's hard for me to say because I think what I love to do most are my docent tours.
Yeah.
Because it's because there's a story that goes with every piece that you show, and putting together the story, putting together what makes it unique, what makes it what makes it something that makes it good art is
Hmm.
very satisfying to me. And I don't just, it's just not like reading the placard that's next to the piece.
Hmm.
About a year and a half ago, there was an exhibition, and one of the exhibitors was a man by the name of Sanford Biggers, and he had three pieces with us. Minnesota, Florida has a hermitage retreat that invites artists from any area, but whether it's visual or whether it is musical or whether it's
Mm.
plays. They have a group of, they have a board, and the board invites the people throughout the country to come and study there for 3 weeks. Um, and at the end of 3 weeks, they can do it 1 week at a time or do the whole 3 weeks.
Uh-huh.
They're given a place to live, they're given money for food,
Oh,
they're given all that. And one person from a class actually gets a $35,000 award for being unique in what they're doing. And so
wow.
they started doing this in 2002, I think it was. And yeah, 2002, and they've had 700 people go through the program. And so they decided to take the best of those people who went through the program and put an exhibition together for the Sarasota Art
Mm.
Museum. And one of those people's name is Sanford Biggers. And
Okay.
Sanford Biggers has a incredible story. He's a man in his late 40s, African American man in his late 40s. Father, they're coming from California. His father was a neurosurgeon, the only one in the state of California that was black. And his
Mm.
mother was an educator, and he was raised to look at history that was going on in the schools. And his parents said, and what you don't learn there, we're going to fill in.
Mm.
So he has a huge understanding of the Black situation in this country that was taught to him, not from a biased standpoint, but from a factual, historical standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
And he started playing the piano when he was 5. He was like a prodigy, but he got
Wow.
bored. He did not want to become a classical pianist and do that. So he started doing all kinds of performing arts. And
Okay.
from the performing arts, he then went into doing visual arts. And the
Mm.
visual arts were things that he would cast. He had a piece called The Oracle, and it was at Rockefeller Center in New York City. And it was there for 3 months. And it was a body of a hero of Roman times. And it was the face of an African mask with
Oh, wow.
holding the torch, saying
Uh-huh.
that, yeah, yeah, very powerful, very big. It was 25 feet tall.
Oh, wow.
And he had 3 pieces in this exhibition at Sarasota Art Museum. So, I could have said this is Sanford Biggers, but everything that I told you was
Uh-huh.
research that I did because I wanted to know the person that made these pieces that spoke about slavery, segregation, music. I wanted to know who that person was, other than here's a quilt. Okay.
Yeah, it's so powerful when you have the story.
Well, it's very powerful because the quilts he used were from the G Bend group in South Carolina, right? There's an island there, and there are a group of women who in the 1800s started making quilts from all old clothing in order to keep everybody warm. They were African Americans. They were like on this island, and
Mm.
they were brought there by a plantation owner, and they were
Mm.
isolated, and so they sharecropped and so on. And there's a whole history of them, but their quilts got to be known in 1998.
Oh,
And so,
wow.
yeah, so these women who made these quilts, now we have generational women, and they
Mm.
had a wonderful exhibit in 2004, I think. Maybe it was 2006, I don't know, at the Whitney Museum in New York City of G-Ben
Mm.
quilts.
Mm.
So there was also talk, legend, that the
Mm-hmm.
women would put the quilts out all along, but African American women would make quilts all along the Underground Railroad trail, and they would put them in a certain direction to help people get to and
Wow.
yeah, and circulate, go through the Underground Railroad.
Uh-huh.
So, and he, in his work, was using the quilts.
Mm.
And so
Wow.
So that's what I love to do the most. Put all of this together because the messages are strong, the art is fabulous and creative, and you wonder how people can I wonder how
Mm-hmm.
people can take these different pieces. He had a piece He used a quilt, and on the quilt, he painted a piano, and um, the piano was inside. The piano was inside a museum, and then there was a noose, and there was the name of it was, I'm trying to remember the name.
Uh-huh.
It was a song that was by, again, I can't remember her name. I'm sorry, we're doing this off the cuff because I can.
That's all right.
What's the name of that? She's a very well-known soul singer from the 30s who died of an overdose of heroin.
Oh,
Um,
that's not
yeah,
Ella Fitzgerald.
no, no,
No.
no, no. Ella was after. She was much earlier, and she was an addict. Um,
Shoot, I
but
can't remember.
yeah, okay. But
Yeah.
anyway, um, the words to her song, with, there was a line from her song, one of the songs that had to do with men being strung up, and that was the name of the piece.
Oh, wow.
And so then what I did was I read the whole paragraph from the song that
The
really talked
lyrics.
to the lyrics that talked to what people were looking at.
Mm.
So, that's my fun.
Wow. It creates an impact, and knowing the history, the story behind the person who created this art
Right. And it's
makes it
not
come
just,
alive.
well, and it's not just they were born here and they went to school here, because
Right. That's just,
it's
yeah.
all about concept. It's all
Yeah.
concept. Why are they doing this piece? What is their conception? Not that they used. I like the fact that I know that if it's chalk or if it's pencil, there was one woman who did this huge thing with pencil, and that was interesting. But the interesting part about her life was that she was an engineer who was trained in Sri Lanka, came to the United States, and found found out that there was a lot of racism here that she didn't expect to have because she was dark complected, and that's what her piece was about. But if you looked at her, you you
Yeah.
wouldn't know that. Yeah,
Wow. It's the why behind the piece, not the what.
that's right. That's right.
Yeah. Very cool. I can see why it brings you joy and lights you
It
up.
does. It really does. Yeah.
Yeah. Should do
Yeah.
more of that.
No, I do enough. Thank you.
Well, no, 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 not, yeah, I didn't mean it like that. But like if you have,
I'm sorry.
here's your,
I'm saying no to everything now. Somebody
okay,
asked me
good.
to help them plan a trip for a group. I went, no, thank you for
Good.
asking me. I'm flattered. No.
Good. Yeah, that's what I mean. Is like you can say no to all these other things that
But what
so
was
that
your
you can
idea? I'm
keep,
sorry.
no, no, so just that you keep the thing that brings you joy, so that you're
Ah,
able to do as much of that as you want so that you,
right,
have the time to do the things.
right, right.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Okay. Can I switch gears on you now?
Of course. This
Okay,
is
so here's,
you're in charge.
well, okay. But
You
I just
are.
I let the conversation go where we want it to go, and then we'll circle back around eventually. But so we at the beginning you were talking about having a hard time determining what kind of beverage you would like. Yeah, can we talk about that? What is your favorite beverage?
So I usually will be a wine drinker.
Hmm.
And I'm very, like, about everything in my life, which is probably a problem. I'm very fussy. Um, and so I have my favorite wines.
Just
And
know what
if
you
somebody
like.
said to me, but try this, you'll like the Chardonnay, I'll go, I'll never like any Chardonnay. Thank you. Yeah, yeah, because I don't like that oaky, buttery taste. I just
You're an
don't.
ABC wine drinker. Anything
What?
but Chardonnay.
Oh, is that it? Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. I didn't know that. So, so what I do, but what I do like is, like, I like Sauvignon Blanc.
Hmm.
Okay, so Sauvignon Blanc, I found, over the years of my drinking from my white wine list. I have a white wine and I have a red wine. Um, the white wine is so I go to restaurants. One of the ways I have, like, a social life is I go out a lot. for with people, and you get a glass of wine with dinner. You just do.
Hmm.
And so I look over the, by the glass, and I say, don't you have a Sauvignon Blanc? And they say, oh yeah, well this one is here. I go, but that's from Napa. No, I want the ones from New Zealand. Well, we don't have
Okay.
one, but you could look at the Sancerre. It's similar.
Yes.
And
Hmm.
I said, no, it isn't similar. There's no citrus. No, I don't want that. That's from France. No, I want the ones from New Zealand because it has this citrus flavor, and that's what I like
Hmm.
in my wine.
It's very
So
distinct.
it's very distinct, and that's what I
Hmm.
like. So when I want white wines, that's what I drink that.
Okay.
And when I drink a red wine, it needs to be heavy. It needs to be
Hmm.
strong. And I once went into a wine shop in Michigan. I drank a lot more when I was younger than I do now. I don't know I think a number of my friends said the same thing, that when you get older, you just don't drink
Yeah.
as much.
I've heard that too.
Yeah. Okay.
Hmm.
So I went into this store and I said, okay, I want a cab that is a combination of chocolate and blueberries.
Mm.
Yeah, doesn't that sound yummy? And he
Hmm.
said, oh, I have just the thing for you. And he sold it to me, and it was, and I was so happy. I never took a picture of, it was so many years ago. I didn't take a picture of the label.
Yeah.
I didn't even write it down, and I don't know what it was. So, but I don't like, I don't like anything sweet.
Hmm.
I really, and I used to like Malbecs, but I can't tell what they taste like anymore. I mean, the taste
Hmm.
is not significant. So I do like a cab, and the wine that I'm liking right now is called Quilt.
Oh, I've seen that. I've not tasted that.
Well, you can come to my house, and
We can
we
fix
can
that.
we can fix that problem. Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
So we've got to try some mules. We've got to try that cab.
Right. Right.
Yep, yep. I love a Sauvignon Blanc too. Do you like anything spicy?
I like everything spicy, but
Okay.
I don't know about drinks spicy.
Well,
I guess.
here's where I'm going. I learned a trick at wine camp this last year that in a
Okay.
Sauvignon Blanc, very thinly sliced jalapeno, like 3 slices of jalapeno, just little cross section,
Oh,
tiny. It is magic. It
wow.
tastes so good.
Okay. Can I take the jalapeno to the restaurant with me?
This is probably more something to do at home, but
Oh, okay, fine.
yeah, unless you're at a Mexican restaurant or something,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you can find a jalapeno around. But yeah, that it's really yummy to try.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
Huh. I
yeah,
do, and I like spicy, so that would
it's
be
good.
something I would like to try. How
It
does it
really
change the taste?
it really tames the jalapeno, the Sauvignon Blanc, something about the acid level of a Sauvignon Blanc with the spiciness of the jalapeno really works well together. So you end up tasting the jalapeno and just a very slight hint of the heat. It really tames it. I
Okay.
tried the same thing in a Prosecco just for fun.
Oh.
I couldn't even get it close to my nose without coughing. It was co-
So, yeah, yeah.
completely
So,
different experience.
when I don't want a red or a white, and I just don't know what I want, I will
Uh-huh.
order a glass of Prosecco.
Yeah.
And I'm never overwhelmed with joy, but I'm never
Yeah.
disappointed.
It's simple. Yeah, it's pretty easy. It's a porch pounder.
What is
I'm not
that?
opposed.
What's
You sit on the porch and you pound it back. You don't even have to taste it. You can just drink it.
Oh, okay. Okay. No, no, it's too sweet. I couldn't do that.
Oh,
It
yeah.
tastes sweet to me.
Well, Prosecco really shouldn't be sweet, but there are some that are a little bit,
Well,
they
the
have a
ones
little
they
bit
sell
of
by the
residual.
glass when you go to restaurants are sweet
Really? Oh,
because they're cheap. They're cheap.
oh, yeah.
They're like $8, $11 like that. So,
Yeah.
yeah, so I don't get the champagne by the glass. No. So I don't, you know, um, if I knew someplace made a good golden margarita, that would be
Yes.
my cocktail of choice.
Okay.
But they have to be good. If not, they're just bad because they're either good or bad. There's
It's
nothing
true.
in
They're
between.
like too acidic or too sweet. They can
Right.
be, yeah.
or some of them are just mixes.
Oh, yeah. No, 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 no. It
Yeah.
has to be real.
And then the other is a mojito. I
Oh,
had the best mojito I've ever had at Gloria Estefan's restaurant in Miami Beach.
really?
Yes, they
Mm.
muddled the mint was muddled just right. It
Uh-huh.
wasn't too sweet. Oh, it was beautiful.
Oh, lovely.
Yes. Yeah. So I mean, I remember that now. I have to tell you, that was back, I was still working, so that was 10 years ago plus. So that left a big imprint on me, that drink.
Yeah.
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 It was so good. And I've had other mojitos subsequently, and none of them even
Yeah.
touch.
Weren't
Yeah.
as, yeah,
Yeah.
special.
No, yeah.
Uh-huh. So what's a fun memory shared with friends?
Fun memory shared with friends.
Yeah, yeah, maybe over a
Oh, over a
mojito or a glass
drink.
of wine.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Well, so I have this couple, dear friends of mine. Um, they rent a place. They live in Michigan full time. They rent a place in Florida every winter, and they needed a place to stay for 3 days on the way down because they didn't want to be up in Michigan and they couldn't get their place earlier. So I said, well, if you come through Sarasota, and they're quite a bit younger than me. They're in their 60s, and they have a company that they work with remotely. So they brought their
Hmm.
computer. Okay, so they were the ones who introduced me to quilt, and that was their
Okay.
surprise for me. And then I let them stay 4 more days because we finished a number of bottles. Yeah, it was fun. It was fun, and they are fun. Um,
Oh,
and when you talk about fun right now and drinks, I can't, short term, no. But, longer term, it's
yeah.
more like I can tell you who I was with when we went to Gloria Estefan, and then we went next door to the salsa place. I
Oh,
was,
fun.
yeah, I was working, and I was with all men because there were
Oh,
not very many women who
oh,
worked.
sure.
And we
Right.
had a meeting, and we went to Coral Gables, and we took a cab because they didn't have Ubers back then. We
Yeah.
took a cab to Miami Beach and went to this. So I hung out with them. And yeah, when you hang out with a group of men, you drink more because they drink more.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I had a lot of mojitos, I think. I don't know how much. Yeah.
Well, I got a little ornament from one of my dear friends that says, I love the nights I can't remember with the friends I can't forget.
Oh, that's so nice.
Isn't that cute? Yeah.
Very cute.
Yeah.
Very cute.
So
Yeah,
true.
that's really nice. Very nice. Yeah.
Oh gosh. Diane, what have I not asked you that you would love to share with us, with my people?
I don't know. I think I've shared a lot. Is there anything that we haven't touched on? I mean, I
Um,
feel like my move at age at age 81 was a risk,
mhm.
from Michigan down here. And I think what you said earlier, you can't look back and say I should have. The thing that I think I should have done was I should have started in the financial field much earlier than I did.
Mm,
So I would have a better handle and a better availability of funds in my older years.
mm,
You learn how to live very well when you're a financial advisor because you make a ton of money. And
mm,
then once you retire, and I'm a certified financial planner, so I plan, but planning is not the same as living, and markets don't do exactly what you want them to do. And costs in Sarasota are way more than they were in Michigan, which
mm,
really, really surprised me, in
mhm.
all of Florida. And so I would just urge anybody who's watching to make sure that they got good compounded interest from a younger age. That's all.
That's really good advice. Well,
Because, they found out that somebody who starts an IRA at age 18 and funds it every year until they're 26 because of the early compounding does
mhm.
better than someone who starts at 26 until they're 65.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. More
Yeah.
years.
yeah, well, no, more than that.
Well,
Because
no more. Yeah, not
right,
four, but more.
it was 18 to 26, so it was 8 years. But
Yeah.
those early years, the earlier you start to compound, it's just every time you earn money. And even if the market goes down and you continue to invest in like a retirement plan, you're
Hmm.
buying whatever you're buying cheaper. So you get to buy more of it. And so that's why it works so well for dollar cost averaging and funding a
Hmm.
retirement plan. So that's
Wow.
what I would urge people to be aware of.
Yeah. Well, and that's really applicable not just to your investing and to your funds, but to also decisions in life. Like I would have loved to, I mean, looking back, I wanted to start earlier doing what I'm doing
Right,
now,
right.
but I held myself back.
Yeah.
But it's never too late. That's the other lesson, it's
No,
never
it's
too late.
never too late, and you didn't hold yourself back. You made the decision, okay, now. It's something though about I think that we women are taught, especially women who are 50 and older, not the younger women now, because they're out there playing basketball, pushing and shoving just like anybody else. But the older women, 50 and older, we've learned to be very accommodating and
Mm,
affiliative and nice and kind
small.
and all
Hmm.
of that good stuff.
Yeah.
And so that's very nice because we bring a certain amount of civility to our world. But on the other hand, we can't, and we did, many of us, especially women who are 70 and older, ignored the realities of what it's like to make your life in this world. I know many people who've stayed with their spouses only because of the financial situation, and that is
Hmm.
sad to me.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Um, yeah, there's a whole system there that supports that, you
Right,
know?
exactly.
Yeah, and things are changing, I feel like, but not
I think
very
it's
quickly.
changing. No, not very quickly, and
Mhm.
we've regressed a little bit um, because the glass ceiling has been put back in place. But there are women,
Hmm.
the woman who is the president of General Motors, Mary Barra,
Mm.
um, they chose her to be president because they needed a scapegoat. They needed a fall person.
Oh,
When,
really?
yeah, when there was a GM car that the engineers knew had a faulty gas placement, so somebody hit the car. People died.
Oh, gosh.
Okay. And they never said anything about it. They knew it and okay. So GM got sued and they could pay everything. And then Mary Barra was called to talk to Congress about what GM did. And everybody, I mean, when she was put in place, the guy who was there recommended her. He left before he could be skewered because he was
Mm,
the one, it was during his time that this happened. And so a lot of people in place thought she would just be run over by, the committee and that she
mm,
would have to resign. And what happened was there was this man, Steve Harris, who was a communications expert who sat with her and trained her of how she should respond and so on and so forth. And he had been a GM worker and he had retired and came back especially to train her to help her.
mm.
And she passed with flying colors. She did all the mea culpa stuff. Yes, we did it. We're sorry, da, 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 but this will never happen again. So she has been president of General Motors now for, oh, so let's see, so that's 10, maybe 18 years.
Oh, wow. That's
And
great.
while she's been president, she's brought up with her women
Yes.
and she
Good.
brought them through the ranks. But a number of them have gone out on their own because they say the corporate structure is too hard to fight.
Okay. Let's talk about that for a second. That
Okay.
is one of my pain points or one of my things that just is so obvious that it's the corporate world by and large is so masculine. It's competitive. The system is set up to be dog eat dog. You
Mhm.
know, it's a pie. You get your piece and then you move on, or you block other people from getting their piece. Women don't work in the same way. We don't work on the same cycle. It's not a day-to-day cycle. We work in a more fluid way, in a more on a 28-day cycle, so to speak. But you just have a different
And we're more
energy.
collaborative. We're collaborative.
Exactly. If there's not enough pie, we'll just bake another one. You
Oh, I
know,
like that. That's very good. That's
it's
fabulous.
well, why not? It's just
Right.
so much, it's so different. It's a different perspective. It's not the way that we were brought up. It's not the way that we were trained. We were trained to be, no, 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 you can't be creative. Use your head and not your heart. Don't feel, don't have enough, all these emotions. But that's what's gotten us in trouble. All of us, the whole world. I mean, we will make better decisions. We collaborate, we support others. The energy is different.
Absolutely agree.
Yeah.
Absolutely agree. Yeah, you're saying what history has been and
Yeah.
still is, still is.
It's why so many women that I work with have left the corporate world and are starting something for themselves. And
Right,
they're maybe going into a direct sales position at first or into an entrepreneurial type thing. They're teaching someone else something that they know, or they're creating a craft or a project or a product that changes someone's life or that enhances
right,
someone.
right. Well, so there's this woman, you should please look her up.
Yes.
Her name is Anne Drake.
Anne
D,
Drake. Okay.
okay. Um, she inherited her father's logistics company after he
Hmm.
passed away. And during the time she went to work for him, she had been interior designer with her own company, went to work for him, realized that he wasn't running as well as he could, went and got an MBA at Northwestern at Kellogg. And so she then became when he passed away, it became her company.
Hmm.
Now, logistics companies are the companies, some of them have carriers, some trucks, and some don't. But it's how you get from the manufacturing to the store. That's logistics,
Hmm.
is getting it there. And research has shown that people from that position in corporate America become president of companies, that if women
Wow.
can get to that position, which Mary Barra was an engineer but was in that position,
Uh-huh.
she then could become president. But most women become human resource, they
Uh-huh.
become marketing, and they don't go on the manufacturing and operations side.
Oh my gosh. You probably didn't know this, that was my background in corporate. It was logistics.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my
Yep.
God. Well, you didn't know this, that
No.
once I got to be a financial advisor, I happened to do a meeting with a man who owned a plastics company.
Oh, wow.
And so he took me on the floor and I fell in love with plastics and
Oh.
making it and the operations. And I read about it and I thought, is there any way I could change? I mean, I was like in my 50s at this time. Is there
Yeah.
any way I could change and do this? I really love the operations of plastics. They're
Oh,
the
wow.
five different kinds of plastic, uh, putting it together. Anyway, that was so
Supply
what
chain.
happened. Yeah, so that would have been the more logistics kind of thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So what this Anne Drake has done is that
Hmm.
she has done two things. She sold her company to a South Korean company, and she's taken all that money because she owned that company outright, and it was hundreds of millions of dollars.
Wow.
And she put together a group called Awesome, um, Accelerating Women, blah 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 blah.
Yeah, yeah.
Awesome. And so it's for
Okay.
she does two meetings a year for women throughout the country who are in the area of logistics or who want to move into logistics. They come
Uh-huh.
out and they hear other people speak, they do networking, they do all this stuff. And she pays for setting up the conference, for paying for not the people who show up. They have to pay for themselves, but for getting all of the speakers there for the room. And she actually has now hired an administrator who runs Awesome. Then
Mm.
she's decided that she's going to do a leadership building. And she lives part-time in Lake Geneva, and there was a piece of land that was going to be sold to developers that was on Lake Geneva. And she said, no, no, I'll buy that land. She bought the
Mm.
land in order to build a conference hall and some rooms, I think, for women and leadership.
Oh.
And every person working on that, she tries to have a female. So she has a female architect, she has a female builder.
Mm.
She has recently interfaced with all of these women astronauts, the STEM people, in order to encourage women to go into the STEM area. And
Hmm.
so she is a woman in her 70s who is making a difference, huge.
I love that.
Yeah, so you might want to follow her.
I'm going to go look her up. Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
Mm.
So there are women out there who are, there's a woman by the name of, so in Detroit, there were a lot of women who, because of the auto companies at the time, and they
Yeah.
were like the focus and they were the biggest companies, they were the most important at the time. And so there were a bunch of women who did kind of feed into corporate America that I know, but I've been following them on LinkedIn, and they've all stepped away from corporate
Mm.
stuff. They've started their own little thing, and they're little.
Yeah.
They start their own things, just what you were saying.
Hmm. Yeah. It's not a good fit. And we can make a better impact, a greater impact when we follow our heart.
Right. Well, so Anne is saying you can follow your heart and you can still um, be who you are because look at these women astronauts.
Yeah.
They've done that. And
Yeah.
they're out speaking to schools and encouraging other women to go in that direction.
That's great.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Diane, I knew this would be
Penny,
amazing.
Penny, this is amazing. This is amazing. This is so much fun. I've had so much
Yes, very
fun.
much. Me too. Me too. I'm so grateful for your time and all of your
And thank
wisdom.
you. And I can't wait to taste that mule thing.
Yeah.
Moscow
Yeah.
Mule
Moscow Mule
in one of those little
in the copper
copper.
cup.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
What's in there
In the copper cup?
in the Moscow Mule?
In the Moscow Mule. It's just vodka and um ginger beer. I like to top mine off with a little club soda because the ginger beer can be a little intense sometimes. And
Okay.
squeeze a lime. That's just a Moscow Mule right there. I mean, it's pretty simple.
Yeah.
Do you
I-
like pumpkin spice?
no.
Okay, then never mind.
I'm
I
not a
made one for I have a sipper club that I do once a month with anyone who, like female entrepreneurs mostly that want a new cocktail recipe that I curate, I come up with. And
oh,
this
nice.
for this month I did a pumpkin spice mule and it was delicious, but not only if you like pumpkin spice.
Yeah, yeah, no, no,
Yeah.
I know where every Starbucks is in every city I've been in. And they have all of these different spice things, and so
Yeah.
I try them once all the time.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still a
Not a
pure,
thing.
I'm just a pure person.
That's all right.
Is
Nothing
that
wrong with
okay?
that.
Good, good. So thank you, Penny. This has been
Thank
so much
you.
fun. I really have just so enjoyed this.
Oh, me too. Me too. And I look forward to seeing you soon.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye. That's a wrap on this episode of Penny for Your Shots. If you loved today's conversation, don't let the inspiration stop here. Get my weekly insider updates straight to your inbox. It's where I spill behind the scenes goodies, exclusive tips, and all the fun stuff I don't always share on the podcast. Sign up now at pennyforyourshots.com/insider. I'll see you in your inbox next Thirsty Thursday. Cheers.